it's kind of multiple rounds of thunderstorms that we're going to be facing. It's not a one and done situation.
Right. And one doesn't necessarily, if you get thunderstorms, it won't stabilize you necessarily. The atmosphere just has more.
Right.
And St. Louis, as you showed, is right in the heart of it. So we've got the chance of some showers and storms early in the day, but it's really storms later in the day that are going to bring an increased risk of severe weather. We have a 7 on the Torcon in St. Louis for today. You're really at the heart of where we could see some of the most dangerous storms. Monitor forecast closely on a day with a 7. Expect that we'll have numerous tornado warnings that will be issued. It doesn't mean that you specifically will, but in the area, we've got this risk of a 7 on the Torcon, and there's an increased confidence of intense EF3 or greater tornadoes. Some could be long track. So let's look at what we've got going on today with that risk. Torcon 7, damaging winds, very likely, and they could be over 70 miles per hour. We also could see that large hail, which could be 2-inch in size or greater. So pretty significant day. This morning might feature a few showers or storms, but by and large, I think this morning won't be active. It will come later today in the St. Louis area, and a couple of rounds, perhaps early to mid-afternoon, and then again into the evening. All right, let's go a little further east. We've got a 5 on the Torcon in Paducah. Beyond that, we've got 4s and 3s extending all the way over through Kentucky, Bowling Green. We've got a risk of thunderstorms that could go severe as well. So we want to take a look at your timing here with thunderstorms that will be moving in the afternoon. These are the ones that we're concerned about going severe. You can see this timing is about 5 o'clock. A lot of folks thinking about getting on the road at that time. Be aware that we could have some storms that very quickly could develop severe characteristics with that risk of winds, strong winds, as well as some tornadoes. Isolated tornadoes in Chicago even are possible. We've got a 4 on the Torcon all the way up here. Tornado watches could be issued, and if we get tornadoes, some of them could be strong EF2 or greater. Chicago 4 on the Torcon. It's possible we get damaging winds. It's possible we get large hail. So you're north Chicago, where I think the heart of the severe weather will be today, but we do have a risk, and so we need to be aware of that wind risk for us in Chicago in particular. This morning, a few rain showers. Temperatures are still relatively on the cooler side. We are in the 50s, but as we get through the afternoon, I think the instability chance is there depending on how far north the warm front gets here. So that's going to be something to watch, in progress throughout the day to see just exactly how things play out. We know on days like this here, it's all about these subtle details of where we have boundaries on the ground and where they could help trigger severe weather later on. So in particular, it's the warm front that we got to keep an eye on here in Chicago to see how far north it gets in Illinois. Does it put us in a zone of some more intense thunderstorms? Alex, this is going to be a story that we're watching throughout today, and again, through multiple times throughout the day, even into the overnight.
Yeah.
A lot of storms that we will see ongoing into Tuesday. So, Alex, left off overnight Monday into Tuesday. I want to pick it up tomorrow, and you can see some of the very same areas that Alex was just talking about still have another severe weather threat tomorrow. Little Rock, Jonesboro, Nashville, we've got a risk of it. Tupelo and down through Jackson and Mississippi. Some of the hazards do include some strong damaging winds. That might be the most likely threat tomorrow. Some very strong winds out there through Arkansas, down into northern Louisiana, and through Mississippi. But big hail is a possibility as well. You see that extending through that lower Mississippi Valley area, but also back into Texas, including in Dallas. You've got the risk of some storms that could be dropping hail, including that risk of hail that could be 2-inch in size or greater. So the bigger, more destructive hail. We do have a 3 on the Torcon right now for tomorrow, and that includes northeastern Texas and into a little bit of southwest or southeastern Oklahoma and then southwestern Arkansas, 2 surrounding that, which does include Little Rock and Memphis. Things are going to be evolving through the day tomorrow with that risk of storms yet again. We've got a front that extends back through the area, and low pressure on it will, I think, help give us that risk for at least some rotation on thunderstorms. So far this year, a lot of it has been farther north. This is the year-to-date tornado counts. And look at how many have happened in Illinois, in Wisconsin, in Michigan here, significantly above average, and just kind of out of place for what you might expect so far this year. I mean, when you look at April tornado watches, most of the time you see them across the south. That's where we see many of them. Not that we don't see them to the north. It's just not the traditional spot. And so far, we have been certainly tracking that risk of storms to the north with so many of the severe weather events this season. Now, as we get into tomorrow, it's back to the south. So you got to get your head in the game here. We are back to severe weather in some of those areas that you would expect to get it, especially this time of year. I mean, late April, early May. Honestly, we are getting into, all zones when it comes to that risk of severe weather. So tomorrow morning, we've got a couple of thunderstorms even in the morning that may be popping. Keeping an eye on some supercell possibility, northeastern Texas. There'll be a few more as we get through the afternoon and daytime heating comes into play, and back into northeast Texas and then southeastern Oklahoma and southwestern Arkansas. Got to watch again. Those are probably the storms that have a greater likelihood of being intense and possibly severe, just because the instability grows by that point. We'll watch it through the afternoon and evening, Paducah into West Tennessee, including Memphis and Nashville, Middle Tennessee. And then eventually that portion of the storm finally makes some progress into the rest of the southeast, like into Georgia. You'll get some rain chances, maybe more significantly in a widespread fashion coming your way, and hopefully without severe weather there, Alex.
Yeah, that is.
We have a pretty powerful cyclone out here, a pretty big storm system with all modes of severe weather, including the risk of flooding. That's been happening already. We've got storms with strong winds, and we've got the risk of tornadoes. By the way, you can see how well developed this thing is, even giving some snow in South Dakota, like in Rapid City. So this is a very powerful front that we have out there. And out ahead of it, in the warm, humid air, we are seeing very active weather. Right now in Greene and Pike County, we do have a tornado warning. This includes Griggsville, Pittsfield, Whitehall. This goes until 9:45. When watching this portion of the line, you can see the brighter reflectivity in here. So also within this, you're going to have some pretty intense rainfall coming down as well. But there's a couple of portions that have that potential for rotation. It's radar indicated right now and don't have any reports of it, but perhaps right in here, backing it up here, Samara, weather producer, showing us this how things have been evolving. You know, when I see this, where you've got bright reds and then you've got some brighter greens and even grays and reds on the other side, we've got some intense wind coming through this area. And, you know, I think, and then you got some blues and greens back here. I think at the very least, you're going to see some strong winds coming through Pittsfield. And that's the case here along the line, actually, with that risk of strong winds in addition to the tornado risk. So we're timing it out. Montezuma, Winchester, Patterson, Root House. We've got the timing for you. Patterson 9:37, Root House 9:47, as we continue to track this portion of the line of storms. Now, there are thunderstorms lined up north and south of this here. It's a big line that is giving us some risks of strong damaging winds coming out of it. That's why the severe thunderstorm warnings are up. That includes portions of I-72 out there, including in Murrayville and Jacksonville here. Now, in parts of Cass, Mason, and Morgan County, you're under the severe thunderstorm warning. That includes Beardstown, Havana, and Jacksonville. It is a severe thunderstorm warning for the risk of strong damaging winds, but the tag on the warning says tornado possible. So I want to make sure that you know that there is the risk we could get rotation and there could be tornado warnings issued. You really have to be on guard all day today. It's going to be a continuing, evolving situation. Parts of Logan and Sangamon County under a severe thunderstorm warning. Capital, Springfield, and Woodside. This goes until 9:45. This does include I-55. A lot of roads impacted by these kind of storms today. Some of the worst of the weather, though, just to the east of I-55 right now here just south of Lincoln, but likely getting some really intense rainfall with this coming on down, in addition to the risk of maybe some small hail and some gusty winds. Here's a look at that hail tracker. Not a lot of reports just yet, but there might be a little just to the east of Springfield. So heads up on that kind of weather as well. You have a lot of hazards today. And Christian, Macon, Shelby, we also have a severe thunderstorm warning for strong winds as the main threat right on Highway 51. Alex, we've had a lot of flooding in and around Kansas City this morning. Where else, actually, as we get into the afternoon, because there'll just be more ingredients in place and more fuel in the atmosphere to drive that. A 7 on the Torcon. That includes St. Louis. You're right in the heart of that. We've got a 5 extending up into central parts of Illinois, then a 4 down through Little Rock and up towards Chicago, where Chicago, we've got a 3 on the Torcon for today. Want to really hone in on this area across east central Missouri, moving into Illinois, where not only do we have that chance of tornadoes, again, the 7 on the Torcon means an increased chance, but also in this case, there's an increased risk of stronger tornadoes, EF3 or greater. So intense tornadoes are possible across this area if indeed they do develop. And then the other risk is that we could have really strong winds, perhaps in excess of 60 or 70 miles per hour. There's a zone out there from Peoria all the way down into Jackson, Mississippi that has that risk, and big hail is another risk for today. Hail that could be 2-inch in size or greater extends in an area from Illinois and Missouri all the way down into Texas. Now, that's the zone where you could get that bigger hail, most likely in this brighter purple area, which includes, again, St. Louis. So your atmosphere right at the heart of all of it. We do have this active weather right now, and those batches of thunderstorms can set down some boundaries, some outflow boundaries, which can be triggers for thunderstorms later today and really affect the winds in the lower atmosphere. Changing winds is what we're looking for, right? What is going to impact that, change those winds with height, especially in the lowest levels of the atmosphere, which could lead to the risk of rotating thunderstorms and tornadoes. And all those ingredients are coming together right here across this area where we've got all hazards at play. The timing is multiple rounds coming in through the afternoon and into the evening. Have a way to get warnings. Thunderstorms this morning have been keeping us busy with the risk of severe weather. Most of the hazards have been severe winds and some hail, but we do have a tornado warning that is active right now still along this line of thunderstorms. And that includes parts of Greene County, Hillview, Patterson, and Whitehall. You were in that. Watching this portion of the line, we've been watching in particular, there was a zone here that had some potential for rotation. And perhaps right in here, there could be at least some storm level rotation. A tornado has not been spotted, but just keeping an eye on where you see these different pixel colors very close to one another. You've got some reds and then greens adjacent, but also in this area right behind, kind of pushing into this line of thunderstorms, we've just got some stronger winds. So there's likely some strong winds pushing in with this line coming through, which could potentially bring down some small trees or tree limbs. We're going to track out that portion of the storm. It gets to Barrow at 9:39, Whitehall at 9:40. A lot of heavy rain with those storms too that extend all the way up here through parts of Missouri. We've got Cass, Mason, and Morgan counties in a severe thunderstorm warning, and that includes Beardstown, Havana, and Jacksonville. These storms do have the risk of some strong winds in excess of 60 miles per hour. They definitely are producing some heavy rain and a lot of vivid lightning as well. Another severe thunderstorm warning, which includes parts of Logan and Sangamon. This includes Capitol, Springfield, and Woodside. This is for the risk of some perhaps little hail, small hail, as well as some stronger winds coming through that area. But looking at some of the storm reports, there have been some small hail reports, mostly about an inch or less. I think there was one that was 1 3/4. But you'll see that hail track just south of Springfield here in Illinois. So that's a concern. Then now is a good time to try to get that vehicle in your garage, because later today, the hail that we see could actually be even larger. Again, that area just south of Springfield is what we are tracking, some of those hail tracks already from storms today. And this is just the first round. We've got a lot to go through the day today with the risk of severe weather. A leading edge of this has been giving us that risk of some strong winds primarily. But, you know, on the back edge of it all, we still have active warnings in Kansas City. Even though your rain is done, those are flash flood warnings. A lot of rain in a short period of time, Kansas City. So you are dealing with a lot of still ongoing flooding there. And be careful driving around. Remember to never drive around a barricade. And then we do have this active watch for, I guess, another, half hour or 20 minutes or so here. This will be a day, I think, Alex, that we have numerous watches, both severe and probably tornado.
Yeah, definitely, right? Well,
that held a little promise over the weekend to give some rainfall, but really did not make any market difference. Lots of drought. This drought monitor showing the extreme and exceptional drought that we have across South Georgia into Florida, northern Florida in particular, and that's the area where we do have the active fires. So rainfall coming our way this week is such good news, and this is a much better chance of rain than we've seen in a while. The heaviest of rain will still be back across the Tennessee Valley, but there is some chances into parts of the south where we are running rainfall deficits of more than 8 to 10 inches and really need more than a foot of rain to help eradicate the drought. The bathroom or the closet, the one that has more walls between it and the outside, no windows, those are the safe places to be when you're under a tornado warning. And we expect there to be tornado warnings today. We do have a 7 on the Torcon from parts of Missouri into Illinois. This is areas that are seeing storms right now, but it's the storms later today that really do bring the greater risk of getting into these kind of extreme hazards, including, again, tornadoes. And some of them could be strong, EF3 or greater. There's a lot of potential energy in the atmosphere today. We expect that risk of tornadoes, if they develop, they'll have the potential to develop quickly and develop into very strong tornadoes. Again, EF3 or greater in that hatched area. When we're talking EF3, these are winds 136 to 165 miles per hour. And really, what you got to know is that entire stories of well-constructed homes could be destroyed. Trains could be overturned. Trees can be debarked. This is with an EF3, and there is a risk that storms today could bring tornadoes EF3 or greater. So where do you seek shelter in the case of a tornado warning? And remember, you don't know how strong of a tornado is threatening if you do find yourself under a warning, so you need to go regardless. We've got, of course, the basement. That's always best if you have a basement or an underground storm shelter. Want to get into that interior room, putting as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Under your stairs, maybe hallways, that might be a good place to shelter as well. Again, just looking at where are there more walls on the outside that you can protect you from projectiles potentially coming from the outside. Space